All right, we are, I believe, live and on time.
Yes.
Pulled off another
What's
one.
up, folks?
What's up?
We are here. It is book club with the missus. We get together once a month. We missed last month though.
We did.
It's very nice to have you back.
Thank you.
And it's very nice to be joined by the one and only Darko from Kindles and Kicks.
I'm so happy to be here, especially since I was invited by the true star of this channel, the missus.
Pooh.
Yeah,
And Pooh.
chat.
And Pooh. Yeah.
I mean, the missus set you set up your first collab. So
I did.
Like you're a real booktuber.
Mhm.
Yeah, because you showed me the video of Darko reviewing
Kindred.
Octavia Butler's
Yeah.
Kindred, and I was so impressed with what you said and how you said it.
Yeah.
That I was just like, I want to read something with this guy.
Yeah.
'Cause you're just
That's
so...
exactly how it went. That's exactly. I said you haven't seen, because you're on Discord. We're talking. So I said you haven't seen Dark. You got to see this review. And I showed her Kindred because I've told you this before, right? Like I watch that at work. Like I listen or watch BookTube while I'm working at the desk, and it's like I had to go to the back room and splash my face.
Yeah.
Like I had to play it off like a little bit of an allergy attack. Like that review like really got to me.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. It was a pretty emotional read for me too, so I'm glad it was properly conveyed through BookTube and it touched you as well. Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. So she wanted to get you here and to be with us and hang out with us, and I couldn't have been more excited. So,
Oh yeah,
I'm so
Britton,
glad
he
you're
did
here.
read that. I read that with Britton. Shout out to my little bro.
our BookTube nephew.
Oh, there he
Yes.
is. Hi, Britton.
So, we got some lovely people in the chat.
Let's visit the chat, shall we?
Yeah, let's real quick. We got
Okay.
Belltube is here and
Yeah.
Dennis is here.
Hi, Dennis. I have your
Zach,
cups, Dennis. Hi,
Storytime.
Zach.
Oh yeah, she's Dennis. She's using your. Slay is here.
Hi, Slay.
Slay.
It's probably like
See, Jacob, they traded you for Darko. I told you this would happen. Drive north, young man.
Oh yeah. Let me
Brian
get
would
the
never-
deadpan face.
Brian would never trick. Kindle Drilling is here. She put a book down because that girl reads all the time.
Yeah.
Slays.
The missus is a true star. I don't think so. It's Pooh. We all know it's Pooh.
Comics and Tortillas.
Well,
That's good. Hey,
hello.
awesome. That is an awesome name, man.
Okay.
I like that.
I could use some
Renerdified is
tortillas.
here.
Well, hello.
Yeah.
Hello,
hey,
everyone.
everybody. It is awesome. We're so glad we're all here together. We kind of missed this last month. We like to do this once a month with Book Club with the Missus, where the Missus picks a book that kind of takes me off my comfort zone into like uncharted territory, the unbeaten path off to the side. And this time she chose
Chain Gang All Stars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah.
very good.
Love it.
Thank you. I love that name.
Very good. And
It is.
Darko wanted to jump and read as well. So everything absolutely worked out perfectly for us. Janie Works is here. Hey, Janie, how are you?
Hey Janie.
So
We're going to do spoiler free for a little bit.
for a little bit.
Talk about it. Talk about our experience with the book, and then we'll give you guys the high sign. Anyone that hadn't read it, and I think most people here probably read it with us on Discord and enjoyed the conversation there. But if you didn't and you haven't read it yet, we'll give you guys a spoiler sign, and you can flee and come back after you've read the book.
Right.
Okay. So should we just go round robin? Vaguely what we thought of it to kind of start off with?
Well,
You're the missus. You should start.
but Darko's the guest.
Oh, that's true.
Mm.
Oh, you see
Oh,
how she
man.
threw you under the bus?
I know,
Darko?
right? Gosh.
Yeah, you.
And I was so looking forward to piggybacking.
Which one would you like? Would you like? What would you like, dear?
I can tell my overall thoughts. So, I mean, what I did like about it is I'm a bit of a gamer, and it kind of reminded me of Mortal Kombat in a way, but yeah, in the penal system, and it's kind of interesting that I can kind of see this happening possibly because we tend to dehumanize criminals because of acts they committed, and when we don't know the circumstances. And so we feel like their lives aren't worth it. It goes back to the old slogan, you do the crime, you do the time. But these are actually human beings who had lives, and there were reasons behind their acts, despite how heinous they are. Sometimes you have to kind of consider that before you just give them the ultimate judgment of the death penalty or life in prison or whatever, and give them a chance at redemption. And so I appreciated that aspect of the story. The multi POVs I mean, I'm always a fan of multi POV books. However, as with most multi POVs, some of them were pretty lackluster, and others were like extremely compelling. Like, I mean, the distance between them was just astonishing. Because some of them I was just like, I don't want to leave this perspective, and others I'm like, okay, I'm just like, just
I
get
could leave
through
this
it.
perspective.
Yeah, I could leave this one.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. So I think, I mean, I appreciate the author for the message she's trying to convey here. Sometimes it was a bit heavy-handed, in my opinion, particularly for a fiction novel. But
Mhm.
overall, I mean, I understand what he's trying to do, and it's I mean, it's a message that needs to be told.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I
Mrs.
just for some basics. I mean, just because when I was in school, they kind of drilled into me like how to operate, analyze a book, how to pop the hood and see what we're working with here. And Darko mentioned the multiple points of view. Some are third person, some are first, and I think that kind of like throws some people off sometimes. And it used to throw me off.
Yeah, you
That
used to have a real hard
I
time.
used to
with
have
that.
a hard time with that, but I'm learning to live with it because I realize it's just a rule, and rules are made to be broken. Some of them were effective, like we said, and some were not. I do feel the first person points of view in this novel were more effective at drawing me in,
Definitely.
and those
I agree.
characters were a
I would
lot
agree with
better.
that. Yeah.
What we have here, of course, is like this dystopian 5 minutes in the future kind of thing, with the penal system that allows prisoners to earn their freedom through these kind of gladiator events that are fought to the death. And we have a penal system that's profiting off of this with uh, massive entertainment industry attached. So we've got like a pay-per-view kind of, I don't even know if it's pay-per-view, but it seems like a cable. There's just so many connections.
Cable sports.
Cable
Yeah.
sports, like lifestyle products connected to it.
Mhm.
And it was very much ingrained in society. It reminds me of those water cooler days when there was a really good show on, like Lost or somewhere where you would just kind of come in to the office and say, like, what do you think? This is what's going on here. These people are watching televised death, and there are people profiting off of this. It's very rare for a prisoner inside the system to make it to freedom. So all of this,
Well,
right.
Don't be too spoilery.
But I just want to say, like, this, a lot of this is false hope, what's happening, and it's cruelty. So what we have also, which I really appreciated, is we have a lot of non-straight relationships. We've got some characters identifying as they. We have some, and whether or not they are trans or bi, I'm not sure. We talked about a bit about that, Darko, about how that person in their link was portrayed. I do want to get to that, but the main love story between the two leads, which would be Loretta and Hurricane Stacks. That was something we don't see. We're just like in two extremely powerful women in this genre. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I did too.
So is there anything else we want to bring up?
It's all you right now.
Before we go,
what you thought of the book, how effective it was, just broad strokes. No
we
spoilers.
have, in this gladiator system, a lot is made of these devices, and the footnotes, which we'll probably talk a lot about, sometimes give us some. He's an amazing world builder. So we have these restraint devices. They're magnetic. How they hold a prisoner down. This Hunger Games battle royale kind of arena that's happening. The cameras, and they're kind of like floating on these kind of drones. And so I appreciated how the book went revolving point of view, just like the cameras do. Like the camera is, they fly in, they can attach to one person, they can fly out, and that's exactly what the author's doing. And I appreciated that, and I saw that, recognized that this was part of what he wanted to do and what he wanted to convey. Somebody in our Discord, Natalie, said, and I appreciated this comment that even within the footnotes, it made her feel like she was a part of the gruesome spectator reality where she was getting sucked in, just like, I am also reading this gore and this violence. I am also a part of the problem. And I really appreciated that point of view and how the author kind of like very technically brought us into that reality. That part wasn't heavy-handed to me. Not yet. What did you think? Revolving point of view. You discussed a little bit about how that worked, but
Yeah, I think Janny Thunderdome with tech.
That's
It's a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
Can I take my turn and just highlight?
I'm sorry. Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, John.
Yeah. Then I'll just, you guys go.
It's a me
But
and Darko show.
so did you think it was? I think we kind of talked before we went on. I think we all found it effective, right? I
What?
found it not very, but I found it pretty effective.
Which
The overall story, and it's interesting that Darko is like, oh, it made me think of Mortal Kombat, and it made me think of, and you Battle Royale. For me, it's like I'm the grayest here. So I mean, I flashed back to Spartacus. Like it was, to me, it was so much of that,
or Gladiator.
or Gladiator. Yeah. It was like that old Gladiator movie, and infused with a little bit of a dystopian story, infused with a little bit of reality TV, infused with a lot of satire. I mean, the book absolutely does have an agenda, and he has a real reason why he's writing this, I feel.
Right.
And sometimes I felt like he strayed a little bit too far on that, and I could have done with just more behind the character's eyes and in the character's shoes. I thought would have got me more right here than some of him straying over to what his agenda was. But we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But overall, I think this is a book that really, I think he really took some chances and some big swings, and for a lot of it, for me, he connected with the ball. It was pretty effective for a lot of it for me. And the world building, I think, is absolutely its strength.
World building. How about you, Darko? How did you come out on world building on this one?
No, I had several thoughts. I really appreciate how he had the people in the arena, those who were in prison, but he also had those who were fans of the imprisoned, and he had those who protested the whole CAPE activity, the CAPE program, and then he had the people who were funding it and sponsoring it. So what I did appreciate is that even though he was heavy-handed at times, he gave you all different perspectives regarding this world. And so now it's left to you to decide like what is right and what is wrong. And he backs it up with statistics and the footnotes as we can get into later. But I thought the world building was great. But to Natalie's point, the footnotes kind of took me out of it at times.
Yeah.
Like it kind of broke my immersion. I mean, I appreciated like, okay, like this is fiction, but yet here's a real world correlation or comparison. I understand, but it kind of broke my immersion in the story somewhat. And I thought that the whole message and his ability to tell a story was enough. Like, I don't even think he really needed a lot of those footnotes.
I totally agree.
Completely agree.
Yeah, some of those, and I'll be more specific when we get into spoilers, but I mean, I know that you and I feel the same way about a specific storyline, about how like there were some footnotes that were coming up, doing some very dropping some really hideous facts about, say, solitary confinement.
Yep.
The story of this prisoner going through solitary confinement spoke volumes more than any Wikipedia article, and I wish the author would have trusted himself more to let me experience that and let that land with me emotionally.
Yeah,
because he did an amazing job, and then like you say, there's a footnote about this very thing, this very topic, and it's like, dude, I
get it. I got
it. Yeah. I wish there was a little bit more trust there.
Hey, what's up, Wizard? He can't stay. It's his 9-year wedding anniversary.
Congratulations, Andrew.
Yeah. Congratulations, Andrew.
So I think one thing before we just go into spoiler territory, I think he had I think he had confidence. I don't think it was a question of confidence in that. I
You
think
don't think so?
no. I think he had the confidence. I just think
Let's ask him.
Yeah, can we get him on the
Yeah.
horn?
Yeah.
I think he had the confidence for it. I also just think he really had a knife to sharpen and an agenda, and he was not going to let go of it. And he, he wanted it on several fronts. And there's a couple times, absolutely, there's a couple times that it did work for me. Like there's a couple times, as you say, 5 minutes into the future,
Yeah.
and this kind of, I mean, I watch reality TV, but this is way further. So there's moments when I'm reading this going, wow, I don't know, that's pretty far out there. And then he would have a footnote sometimes that would make me go,
Maybe it's
well,
not.
maybe it's not that far out there. If I really think about the history and what's gone on and where and things like that, it would sink me back into the story. So sometimes it did work for me on that level. And then sometimes it just was a bit of a dividing line between what the character was going through in an emotional way that made me drop down to the bottom of a page and then come back up. And I didn't need to take my eye off of what was happening in the scene. And it just disturbed my flow. So for me, I had both experiences with the footnotes.
I can see that. How about you?
Yeah.
Darko, speak up.
Well, I just hate footnotes in general in fiction novels. Unfortunately.
Really?
Like it's the main
Back to
reason.
school?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's the main reason I didn't give 5 stars to Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke, because the footnotes killed me. Like I don't think it's necessary in fiction. Like you have enough latitude to fit any kind of information you put in a footnote into the story itself. I understand in academic books and nonfiction it may be necessary, but I don't think footnotes are ever necessary in fiction novels. And that's just in my opinion. I'm not a writer, but I don't enjoy them.
But you just play one on TV. I do want to pop this up there. Matt is saying, I just showed up. Has anyone mentioned how this sounds like the movie Gamer with Gerard Butler or Condemned? And yes.
Spot on,
man. There was this Stephen King did this like so long ago. I mean, this has been done several times, but it really had a social commentary slant that some of those didn't have. They just let you take in the material, and this one had far more of a slant.
It's not
so
like those.
Go ahead, Darko.
Instructive or preachy, depending on how you were receiving it at the time. Yeah.
And those movies star like hot white guys, whereas this is like powerful women of color who are dominating.
And that's
different, and that's
definitely factors into what he is trying to say about society.
Definitely.
Just before we leave, Britton, I haven't read this, but I've seen it at my local bookshop. Perhaps the stream is a sign. Darko, before we go into spoilers, would you recommend this? And who would you recommend this read to if you were going to clarify?
I would definitely recommend it to anyone who is a fan of, as was mentioned, Gladiator, Mortal Kombat, The Condemned, Gamer, any of those films. Anybody who's interested in learning more about like mass incarceration and how the prison system disproportionately affects particular groups more so than others. It's wrapped up pretty nicely in this story, and if you can deal with footnotes. And
absolutely.
Hey, go forward. And Ajay Branye, I'm sorry, he is an excellent writer. I'll give him that. I mean, he's an awesome storyteller, regardless of the faults in the book. I think you can see what he is going to blossom to become like in the future. So if you're looking for a new author who is on his way up,
no doubt.
Absolutely. I mean, this guy's going nowhere but up, and he has.
National Book Award finalist.
Well, he's also, he's a teacher. He has great mentors. Like, this is a guy like we need to watch out for, and he's powerful. He has a powerful voice, and he's not afraid of anything.
That is true.
As far as coming at this through the lens of writing, like if you want to learn how to be bold, read this guy. Like read somebody who is just completely off the chain, and who's really going to not only like say what he thinks and really tackle a social justice issue, but it's also going to be like, man, that was some amazing world building, and some gruesome scenes. I mean,
Yeah.
like these, and there were many gruesome scenes.
Yeah.
And some excellent fight choreography. I mean, because I can totally see this being, this is very adaptable.
I could totally see it being adapted. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Kindle, anyone who likes dystopian novels with prevalent social commentary.
Absolutely,
I think that
Kindle,
sums
you
it up
nailed
very
it.
well. I mean, I'm the same. I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend it, and I would recommend it because I think this is an important work. I think this is going to be an important artist that is worth watching as he goes through his career, and I think he's pretty well functioning, and that's why I said for me it's not confidence that made him do this. I think he's functioning very close to his full capacity here. It trigger warnings for the violence, trigger warnings galore. But if you like a visceral experience, if you like those kind of stories that a little bit dystopian in the future, Gladiator and those type of stories we've mentioned, I would absolutely. But the agenda, it is an angry book. It is a protest book, and the agenda is quite. He wears it on his sleeve without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And for some people, that doesn't connect with.
I'm ready to talk about that if you are.
Let's get into it.
Okay.
So everybody,
right
here we go. This is your opportunity to click off if you haven't read this book and you think you actually might. And I think all three of us would recommend you do if you have interest. So this is your opportunity to click off and then come back and let us know what you thought of the book down the road in comments. We would love that in the future. So everybody, going to give you a few seconds here. Britain is going to dip. Felicia just joined.
Hi, Felicia.
What
We're
book
about
are
to
you
get
discussing?
into Chain Gang All-Stars.
And we're about to get in with spoilers. So if you haven't read it, you think you might, everybody, now you have been forewarned. Let's do it.
Okay.
Where do we want to start?
Footnotes. Let's go.
Look it down, Darko.
Look, the footnotes are a prevalent part of the book.
Very.
Like he uses them for multiple effects. Like he will do backstory in a footnote. He will do like when somebody dies, and there are a lot of deaths in this book. He will give a little RIP and like what level they made it to. And sometimes you may not know everything about them, a little bit about their past in there. It's a humanization device that he uses it, and I loved that.
I did too. That part worked for me. Like when somebody would fall in the arena and you would get a footnote of, you would kind of actually have some context of, oh, that's who that person really was. And that's why they were in this position. And it did a little bit of that humanization, Darko, that you were talking about earlier. Like we can start to define people by their jobs. Or by their social status, or by the color of their skin, or any number of things. Right. These people obviously are being put into a box and defined by those watching this by what they've done in their past, the decisions that they're been called to task for, and that in those moments when we had that footnote, it's like, oh wow, that really gives me context of a living, breathing person.
Right. That was
I have to
in the face sometimes. What did you think?
I had to counter that, John, only because I don't know if you read A Spirit Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. Have you read that? I have
not read that one yet. I've read Vanished.
Okay. Like, so in A Spirit Cuts Through Water, there are character deaths, but there's a way he honors them through other perspectives or through the character themselves while they're dying. Mm-hmm. Where you get like some history about them and some context about them, and it's right in the middle of the story, and it doesn't break your immersion at all. So I think if he framed it that way instead of the footnotes, then I would have appreciated more.
I kind of love that point because we were talking a little bit. I think this was yesterday or maybe this morning. One of the huge moments for us was a character death, and I mean I don't even at spoilers. I don't want to spoil it now because we haven't got to that part of the book, but. When one of the character deaths happens and another character's reaction to that
at the very end
was so powerful because we got to see this person humanized and defined through someone else's eyes and what they relied on them for. And you're right, Darko, in that moment, it was one of the most powerful scenes. And it was because it was played in scene from character's eyes to the other.
Yeah.
So good point, my friend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would think that the problem I want to talk about that scene and why but
That's okay. You want to
but
jump
I
in?
want to
That's fine with me.
I want to kind of set that aside for a second because like it's I want to talk about the footnotes, if I may, about why some of this didn't work for me and why we felt like some of this was pulling us out. It was when we could get a footnote like this: America locks more people in isolation than any other democratic country. And then we might get a footnote about a prisoner who is not in the book, a real life prisoner. This is not fictional. Some really heinous things that our prison system has done to these people. Here's another one. The incarcerated can be placed in solitary confinement for non-violent offenses such as possessing contraband or insubordination, et cetera, et cetera. These are real world facts bleeding into this dystopian fiction. I'm not sure I had problems with that, but I had a little bit of a problem when I started to hear the author's voice, like the protest voice of say her name and repeating the name of almost like these are martyrs. These are people of color dying in a new Jim Crow system. And if there was an author directive to me or an author opinion in the footnotes, I was very frustrated because I wanted to know what his role was in this world. Because
you wanted it to be in scene.
I felt everything that he was doing in that context was so much more powerful in the fictional world. But I'm the kind of person that will go directly and research something in the middle of a sentence if I want to know more about it. So what did you think about like the categories of footnotes? Like here are you just hated footnotes.
They never worked for you, Darko.
They never. I mean, I appreciated them more when they humanized the character, as you both talked about earlier. The statistics I could have done without, especially since, like, I've read books like Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow, Brian Stevenson's Just Mercy, where they go into detail. There are books that go into details like this if you want to know more information. Like this book should have been like a gateway into that. Like I'm writing this book to show you the horrors of mass incarceration in the American penal system, but some way encourage others. Like if you want to know more, then it's on you to do so, not me. It's not my job to inform you so bluntly with these stats, but that's just my opinion.
So if he'd have stayed a storyteller for you, it would have been more effective. And it's like, I think the one you just brought up, those were some of the kind that would take me out of it pretty big time.
The
like,
stats?
The stats,
right,
because the character of Simon J. Kraft, who is in solitary and dealing with that, I could have got all of that from the scene. That could have been worked into the scene and what he was living through.
Confidence, because that I felt was like Simon J. Kraft and one-armed
singer.
Hendrix Young.
I mean, like those two characters just blew me away. Like I would read some of those chapters and say, my goodness, he's a genius. It's just a beautiful storytelling. They were first person, like I said before, and they were these were guys who were very vulnerable and being thrown significant obstacles inside the incarceration system. These two powerful women who were protagonists, it felt like nothing could, like things hurt them, but I felt like it just like everything was just bouncing off of them. I didn't feel like anything was equal to their power. Like I just felt like they were, I couldn't reach them. And that they were in third person, I think kind of made it worse because I was just
there's a distance.
There was too much of a distance and I wasn't connecting with them. but these two guys with their vulnerabilities and the way the prison system had impacted them, and then thrown into this gladiator, it was like, gosh, this is just beyond cruel. It's beyond cruel. And then we were talking about the death of the Scorpion singer and Simon J. Kraft, who one lost his arm in a prison job, and the other lost his mind in solitary confinement. Yeah. That death scene just is like really hurt me. It was significant.
And speaking of those two, it seemed like that those two POVs really illustrated to me the author's ability to write. Just his because they were so poetic and lyrical, and even though their scenes were brutal and gut-wrenching, I mean, he constructed it beautifully. And he just didn't write any of the other characters like that. So I think like I was able to connect with them on such a deep level that to me, like, a footnote was not needed at all in that solitary confinement chapter, because I mean, I could just feel myself in there. I started to get claustrophobic, just reading Simon's POV, and I loved Hendrix Young. Like, despite what happened to him, he's just like singing. And what I liked about him, he reminds me of like guys that grew up in my neighborhood, like the older guys in my neighborhood, who, even though they weren't like technically educated or college educated, they understood things on a much deeper level, and just uniquely in a way that maybe you just didn't get. But they were much smarter than a lot of people gave him credit for. So I really resonated with him a lot.
I think Janie's onto something. I would have been interested in this, and Kindle right above that, if you want to click that. Not everyone will take the time to look up these facts, so maybe that's why he's including them in this way. If he'd included them at the end in an appendix, like, and not interrupt the story, maybe that would have been possibly the best of both.
That would have been.
And again, these are just our opinions. Some people may love it, but it's that Simon J. Kraft and the Scorpion singer Hendrix, those chapters, honestly, I would have to almost readjust myself, because his narrative style changed so much. He so much embodied those characters. Like you said, it was first person, and he so embodied them. It's like you were really sunk in those chapters, and I'd have to maybe start the chapter 2 or 3 times to get the flow. Because it was such a different experience from some of the rest of the chapters, because it was so deep and so much embodiment of those characters. So I felt the same thing. And when the end of the, when the death happens, are we going to talk about that now? Can we jump ahead now?
I think I've already mentioned it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
But before you go there, John, I wanted to like piggyback on what you said about Hendrix Young, because like I was just reading the book like I would any other book, but as soon as his chapter hit, I was like, oh, there's a rhythm to this. Like, I don't even know, like there was a rhyme scheme and everything. Like, I was like, wow, it was really different, but I loved every bit of it.
Yeah. And it was like you were in that guy's thoughts, like absolutely. And then so at the end, when they're in the arena together, and like you say, one has kind of lost their faculties due to solitary, one has lost an arm working in a
prison shop,
a prison butcher shop.
Yeah.
It's like they rely on each other's to the point where they complete each other.
Yeah.
Like they really kind of make a full person together, and they watch out for each other in that way. And when one of them falls, the gut-wrenching pain of the other one, that I can no longer have the lens to understand this world around me. Like the whole thing that just crashes down at that moment, because it's like I don't have my lens anymore to interpret what my own reality is, was gut-wrenching.
He stopped fighting.
He just collapsed next to his friend, because he couldn't even continue like a life or death situation in a combat in the arena at that moment. And it was just gut-wrenching. Like Kwame can like pull those moments off.
Yeah.
And I just thought
Mhm.
there were many, many more times through the book where I thought he could have pulled a moment like that off.
I'm trying to think right now why he didn't. Like, what was he doing? Like, I just want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Why would he, like, I have the ability to do this, to make you just weep at the tragedy of this, and then feel really cold about the two women.
Mm-hmm.
I was really like, why would you do that? I'm gonna have to think more about that now.
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes when you have a book like this that is a protest book. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a work of art that is a protest. Absolutely. I mean,
Mhm.
I feel, Darko, tell me what you think about that. But sometimes you want all emotion raw, and sometimes you want a little bit like a Brechtian
A
distance
yeah.
to take in the stats and the actual reality of the world that he's trying to make a statement about. So I think he's trying to walk a line and do both things here. And sometimes I think that line gets a little bit muddy one way or another when the audience is wanting to go one way or another. That's the best way I can interpret it.
I can get that, but it was just such a stark contrast between Simon and Hendrix
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Hurricane and Loretta. But speaking about Hurricane, I do love that name, Hurricane Stacks. I think that's like one
I
of the
love that
coolest
name,
names.
and I love
I
that
love that
character.
name.
Oh,
Yeah.
and
Like, if there's anybody I wanted to be, it was her.
oh,
Like,
and Loretta Thuwar too.
I don't know if I liked her as much as I liked Hurricane.
Ooh, I liked them both.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I liked them both. I mean, okay, so if you're gonna go just favorite character in the book, because I think I'm way off the beaten path on this. Darko, you want to go first?
Oh, I would definitely have to go with Hendrix, because like immediately when he came on screen and I got his flow and his cadence and I got into his story, I was like, I feel like I'm in my old neighborhood and like I'm talking to like one of the like, sorry if this offends anybody, like, but one of the like alcoholics or drug addicts that were like on the corner. Like, I grew up in the hood, so it was nothing for me to walk out and have a conversation with like these guys, these older guys who's just been around, forever and just knew me since I was a little boy. And we would just have conversations much like you would really have to listen to see what they were trying to tell you. Like, they didn't speak conventionally. They didn't articulate like everyone else, but they had some knowledge that if you really were trying to learn,
Right.
they had wisdom. Yes. Mm-hmm.
How about you, baby? What would you think?
I really loved Hendrix as well, but I've got to speak up for Simon J. Kraft, who just completely loses his mind and then is able to like take down an entire group of people. I just really
that was
admired.
crazy.
It was just crazy. It's
Oh, he
just
took him down easy too.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
until Hendrix like stepped in and actually
Well,
connected
Hendrix
with him.
was the only one left. Like, he
That's what I
killed
mean.
everybody,
He killed everyone
and
else.
Hendrix was able to talk to him
Right.
like a person.
Yeah.
And he, I mean, like that relationship is just absolutely amazing.
That relationship, I think, is
It's special.
Is a special relationship in the book. For me, my favorite character is, and I can't even remember her name, which is I'm blanking on right now with my old man brain. But the character that was the research doctor that wanted to get rid of pain management.
Patricia or something.
Patricia.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that story I did not get enough of her. That story could have been so much more. And the reason I loved it is because what a backstory drives her to have such an amazing motivation of wanting to get rid of pain after taking care of her terminal father when she was so young. And then having the horrible habit of not being able to process what she's had to do for her father. So she becomes a cutter and she's cutting her own leg and things like this. And pain is at the center of all of her thoughts and dreams and desires. And she becomes a research scientist to try and revolutionize pain management. And then it factors into the world building because it's the powers that be here that are televising this and making all this industry that take her research and create the influencers that can like set your pain just off the chart and help you have control of these combatants.
Yeah, she accidentally made something.
I
accidentally made a product
Yeah.
that was that did the opposite of what she intended. It was quite was
Yeah.
cool. And it was the most sci-fi aspect of the book, I thought.
And I thought it was,
Yeah.
it was not, I didn't have enough of it, but it was
Mhm.
like, it was so rich and full and complete.
Yeah.
It fit in the world. She had a backstory. She had motivation and tragedy. And for me, I just loved that part of the book. And I could have done with a lot more of her.
And
that
speaking of Patricia,
Yeah.
I liked her story because it also, to me, exemplified how some people are locked up for virtually noble reasons, no reason or noble reasons, because she burned down the lab that was trying to turn her invention into something of harm, and she's locked up for it. And then you have like Hurricane, who was locked up for killing someone who was trying to assault her. Like, you don't, like, this is crazy. And you have people actually in jail for this who were trying to protect their bodies, and because of self-defense, they end up locked up at and because they are technically a murderer now or committed a homicide. So
and we got the footnotes for exactly how often that happens.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But you did that part of the story hit for you too, Darko? Like that, and then she became a part of that penal system. I just thought it was such a complete little aspect of the story. I thought it could have been so much more mine for so much more.
No, I'm glad, and she became almost like kind of like a motherly figure in a way, and I wish they could have like explored like her more, because most like to go from a research scientist to a convict. I mean, I can only imagine the psychological effects that have on someone, but for her to kind of take it in stride and stand up and like help these other women, to me was just spectacular.
Yeah. So where else?
Kindle's coming in here.
Okay.
Oh, hey, Evie, we mentioned a spear cuts the water and you weren't here.
Yeah, you missed it, Evie. I think the coldness of the women at the top's POV reflect how the system has broken them and how they have to shield themselves however they can in their situation. That's valid.
I like that, Kendall. No, that's
Yeah, I like that.
Great counterpoint.
Mhm.
And Evie just dropping by to say hi. Hey, Evie, how you doing? We just talked about spear cuts through water. So I mean, look, I think we're remiss if we don't talk about the relationship at the kind of center of this book that everything revolves around. And it's one of the strengths of the book for me, and also it was one of the weaknesses of the book for me, because as soon as we get into the characters and the relationship of Hurricane Stax and Loretta Thurwar, I mean, I knew where this book was going.
Right.
Like, I knew these two people, even though they loved each other and they relied on each other and they carried each other through all of this, I knew they were going to end up in the final battle against each other. Like, it was just
me too.
So apparent.
But did you know who was going to win?
I don't know if that mattered to me. And yes, I did know who was going to win, because they make a point of, when Loretta Thurwar first gets onto the scene, the person that you have to be in this world and be a gladiator in this arena situation for 3 years, and then you get high freed. You're able to walk away, no longer a prisoner, right? Or you can be low freed, which means you're killed on the arena floor. So when Loretta Thurwar first shows up as a complete rookie, and we have that scene of, at this point, the person that has, everyone's cheering her name, and she comes out, Melancholia.
Yeah.
She comes out of the door and everyone's cheering for her, and this is her last match before she becomes high freed. And Loretta is such a rookie. She doesn't even have a weapon except for a corkscrew.
Right? Yeah.
That's all she has is a weapon. And as that person comes in, she doesn't want to, after what just like a lot of soldiers when they come back from war, and it's like, what's the world going to be like? How can I come back? How can I reassimilate? How can I do this? This person knows she's about to be high freed. She can't do it. She can't face it. So that foreshadowing right there showed me who was going to win when it came down to it.
But how do you know that Loretta wasn't going to make the same decision? That was what I was thinking. It was just like, what is the difference between low freed and high freed? Low freed, they describe is death, and
Mhm.
high freed is you get to go outside. And I think only one person has ever made it to
Mhm.
high freed. Is that right?
Yeah, and
Well, one
remember that was
person,
all.
but he was a
I'm
plant.
sorry. Right.
Yeah, go ahead,
Exactly.
Darko.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's
No,
right.
yeah, that
That's
was
right.
all orchestrated.
Right.
Mhm.
So nobody's done it. So if and Melancholia at the very beginning, Melancholia Bishop almost gets there and decides Shawshank Redemption style, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And
And that happens with one other character too
yeah.
before the end.
Yeah,
So it's
It's
like I just knew he
Sunset.
was going to go the different way.
Sunset, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
Because he
know.
showed us this way 2 times as a writer. It's like by the end, it's like I knew, oh, we're gonna get the top spin on it. He's gonna go a different way at the end. Yeah, but Sunset was the same thing. And
Yeah, he
here,
wasn't gonna take it. Yeah.
and I mean, who wants to pull up the next topic? Because I got that stuck in my craw more than anything. If you
Oh yeah, I know you were upset about that. But do you have an Darko? Would you like to get in here with something before John goes
Just
lost?
no, we can, because we talk about Sunset. We can go ahead.
Oh, John's gonna go. Okay, there you go, baby.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Okay, this was fun.
He got mad.
This was just one of my problems with the. It's like, okay, how can I?
We're laughing at you.
I know I'm having the hardest time. Okay, so Sunset is a part of the group that Loretta and Hurricane Stax is in. He basically he's like the top dog here in their chain, right?
The Grand Colossal.
He's the colossal that's so close to being high freed, and he understands I'm an institutional man. I'm not going to be able to make it. And he asks Hurricane to assist suicide for him because he knows he can't make it on the outside. So after he's gone and he's the guiding light, now Loretta Thuwar is the guiding light, and she puts down the gauntlet like there's no violence within this chain. We're a family. This is how we're going to live. There's no violence. And then her number one person that she relies on for everything, her lover, everything, right? To get through this world, Hurricane Stax says, I'm the one that killed your best friend who was the guiding light of this chain. I just want to be free about that. And then it goes on like that scene. The whole book goes on for how many chapters, how many pages? Like, I'm sorry, there's no world that I can understand motivation and character motivation where as soon as you're alone together, you go, what the, how, why, what happened? Why did you do this?
Yeah.
Who even are you? How can I understand you at this? Like that would all come out at the very next microsecond of an opportune moment. And he didn't, as a storyteller, he didn't want to lay that card down yet. He wanted to hold it closer to his vest until he thought it would be most effective to lay down. So for me, the whole character motivations after that were suspect to me because they weren't behaving like any person I had ever met or would ever understand or know. So that was I had such a problem with that at that moment.
Thank you, John. Because I honestly thought, I honestly thought I had missed something because I
went back and reread it.
I reread it. I'm like, did I overlook something?
Did you not say something? So I just gave that big speech to everybody in the chain about like there's no violence and everybody step, like whoever did it, whoever killed Sunset, step forward, and then
no repercussions.
No repercussions. Her lover steps forward and said it was me. It was me. Like, come on. Like,
yeah. Like no explanation. No justification. I'm like, I'm like, they just went from human to like Vulcan because that just didn't, I didn't understand. It didn't make it like this person was essentially a father figure to you.
Yeah.
And the love of your life murdered him and just confessed to it and didn't give any explanation. You just like going about your okay, like
you must have had reasons.
Yes.
So you know what? Let's just get in bed and make love. I guess go on with it. I'm like, what?
What? That
doesn't come up.
That's gotta come up.
I'm gonna need to know the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, I do think he did it just because when he lays the card down, it's at the moment of all this frenetic craziness going on, and then he lays that card as the big, you know, oh, it's going to land right here, and it's like, dude, that should have landed 90 pages ago.
Yeah.
For me, that was one of my biggest problems right there.
No,
But
I'm
then
so
again,
I'm
these
so
people are-
relieved. No, I'm so relieved you guys feel the same way, because I still saw I had missed something like till right now. So I'm so relieved.
I think there was something, a bit like a line, and there's that I didn't buy. I was like, no, that's not enough. You have to keep
Yeah.
going. That was like, these people are traumatized, and killing is a part of this. Is just a part of it. Like you killed our leader and our mentor, and oh well. And I was like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, I know they have warped reactions to death, and I really get that. I just think it would have been better played out with dialogue.
agree. And it's like I did the same thing for
They're
myself.
so used to not talking. Anyway, go.
What? Go ahead.
They're just so used to not talking to each other.
Right. And
You
I
know, where
did-
they have the collars on where they can't talk.
Right. And
Like,
they only
maybe
have
they
certain
just-
blackout
Yeah.
time they
Maybe
can
they're
talk.
just stunted.
Yeah. But I did the same thing. Like I did exactly what you're doing right there.
Just trying to figure it out.
No,
yeah.
my wheels were turning, and I was
Yeah.
thinking, well, I can't understand them. Their reality is so different. They're going to process this so different. But I was coming up with all these things to make it fit. And then I realized I'm working real hard and I'm not in the book,
Yeah.
you know?
Right. Yeah. Because that hit me. I'm like, this guy I've been hearing about through all this time, and I find out that Hurricane Stacks killed him, and no reason is given. I just don't like. I understand them being like desensitized to death, but they're not complete psychos or sociopaths. So
Exactly.
you know, so
Yeah,
there
that
should have been
was
some
part of-
reaction.
That was the part of
Yeah.
the book where I was just like out loud. Uh-oh. I mean, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, that's not going to go over well. And then
Yeah,
the next chapter, there was nothing.
there
I
was nothing.
I was like, what? Did
But-
I misread this?
Right. But you felt like, oh, we're
Yeah.
going to have some drama here.
Yeah.
Like there's no way we're not getting drama, but there was no drama.
Yeah. And even and more to that point, when it's finally revealed why she did it, if I was Loretta, I would have been mad at the fact that you knew all this time that we were due to fight each other. You didn't tell me, and I'm sitting feeling guilty and angry at myself for not telling you, and you've known longer. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand. It's so like Hurricane, like I love her, but it was so many times they should have just been so angry at her, you know, like.
Yeah. Same. But that one, I still think a lot of it worked for me. When he did play the card, it was effective.
Mhm.
I
Yes.
can't say he
Mhm.
held it for a reason, and it was effective at that moment. The only other thing I would say, I mean, let me get you guys' opinion on this, is the multi POV, like Sunset that had been murdered, you know, we get the POV of his daughter on the outside. We get the POV of protesters. We get the POV of the executives that took Patricia's work from her. We get Patricia. And then kind of all these threads were going to be pulled together at the end. Did you guys feel he pulled all these threads together effectively by the end to wrap it up?
Yes, but there were just some more things I wanted to know.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go deeper on so many relationships, and I could have stayed longer.
I mean,
What do you think?
I think those who had most chapters, I think they were wrapped up pretty well, because like I think the couple, the
Mhm.
married couple, they were wrapped up. Of course, Hurricane and Loretta, and I think Mary, her story was wrapped up. But there were some other secondary, like I wanted to hear more about like the executives and
Oh yeah,
Patricia,
yeah.
like, you know, I wanted to hear more on that side. So not all the threads were wrapped up, but he had a lot of perspectives for just like a 300 and some page book. Like,
was a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
And
Too
maybe
many?
a little too ambitious. Yeah.
Maybe-
I was going to say that for me, I thought he could have maybe focused a little bit more and had a better pulling of it together. Or I mean, for me, the book was effective, but there was just some meat left on the bone or things left on the table, like Patricia and like some of the other Mary, some of these other things that happened. And I mean, she had her huge moment at the end with the sign, that actually tried to give us that moment of we're more alike than not, so that I thought that played pretty well.
I think Kendall is gonna come in with a.
That's what she does.
She's gonna defend the book there. So Kendall says at the same time, and I believe she's still talking about the author's decision to delay the reckoning between Loretta and Hurricane about Hurricane's admission that she killed Sunset. Kendall says at the same time, are you going to pick fights over an issue, albeit a large one, with one of the only things you have to hold on to in this terrible situation? I understand it from Thurwar's point of view.
No. Now, Kendall, I've agreed with you this whole night on every counterpoint, but not this one.
Not this one.
Sorry. Like, to me, that is an insurmountable issue. Yes, you're the one thing I had to hold on to, but you killed the other thing that kept me grounded. Why? Why did you do that?
I feel like it was worth a. It was too big not to.
I mean, just looking at it character wise, like I know Loretta had a problem, and there was a bit of an open relationship where sometime Stax would go sleep with Mac, and I know Loretta had a problem with I can't think of the word right now, but
We'll wait.
my brain.
Hammers.
No, not hammers. When the word when your person's out there with you think they're out with someone else, and
the mistress or the
jealousy?
cuckold?
Jealousy. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So, I mean, I couldn't think of it. Look, we know we know Loretta had a problem with jealousy.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why she was incarcerated. She had a problem with jealousy, and it took her a while to get over her partner having this open relationship with Max, sometimes going back and forth. So she worked at a normal human way through emotions like some people do, like jealousy and things like that. How would you not work the same way with something this large and have to like broach it right away? Like if you're working like a normal person, like everyone I know, it's like, oh, my partner's out with someone else. I'm going to have a pang of jealousy. Like, that normal emotional response. If she's having that kind of normal emotional response, I think she'd have the normal emotional response of, oh, you killed my father figure and my best friend. I think I'm going to have to ask you why.
Yeah. Yeah, Hurricane at least owed her that.
Yeah.
And to me, Hurricane, what's up with Hurricane? Why didn't she? She should have waited to drop the bomb if she wasn't ready to explain herself at that moment.
I just thought it was a great. I'm going to assemble everybody. I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you.
It's a great scene.
Everybody, I'm going to give you a free ride, and it was like the utter confidence that Loretta had that it wasn't going to be.
Wasn't Stax.
All right. It was like as long as we're all going to be friends afterward. It was me.
Yeah.
And at least you have to at least lean into the comedy a little bit of really like you're going to.
I mean, that scene plays. You're absolutely right.
Like,
but then the scene after when they're alone together, there's in no world.
I know. We've been over it. So it's like yeah. This book was frustrating.
You know what? I think it was meant to frustrate.
Yeah.
And I do. For me, that's one reason why it was so effective. I'm used to reading a book where I can throw on a character's shoes or get behind their eyes and go on their journey and understand. And this is one that it's like, it's uncomfortable. You don't want to go on that character's journey, number one. And number two, they look at life so differently that I can't process or understand their worldview and what they're going through. And even like in characters like Hendrix and Simon J. Kraft, sometimes their own speech patterns and things like that are so different. It takes me a minute to get the rhythms and understand what they're even feeling and dealing with. So it was frustrating, but I think meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like back to, I just, one more thing about Sunset. I think I probably would have handled. Yes, I can't let it go. I would have appreciated it more if Loretta had like more internal dialogue of what she was wrestling with when she found
Yes.
that out.
That would have,
Yeah,
that would have been appropriate.
Yeah,
It's just like,
that would
that would have helped.
even if she was in shock, even if she was like, I can't say anything, or I would risk losing her. I can't,
Mhm.
you know,
play
I'm
off her
already,
jealousy that's
I'm
part of
already
her.
on
Yeah.
shaky ground. She's going to
right.
leave the tent again. And she might not come back. And, you know, there was just nothing to understand, you know, what she was going through there.
Mhm.
Not at all.
So I think Kindle's really right here.
Kendall's, here she goes again.
Kindle's on it, man.
Yeah, Kendall's.
You would think she
She
does
is.
it for a living.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Kindle says entirely meant to frustrate everyone involved. Such important messaging.
Yeah.
And yes, this is a book that will frustrate you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, I would recommend it if you want a book that challenges you, challenges your worldview, opens your eyes to the world you live in, challenges the way you look at other people, the way you can tend to categorize people. It'll shake you up, man. This book will shake you up. And sometimes you need to be shook.
Yeah, you do. And I give credit to Nani Kwame because he did a lot of research, because I don't know if either of you read the acknowledgments, but he lists like all the books and authors he read to write this book.
It was impressive.
Yeah.
It was. Mm-hmm.
No doubt. So, I mean, we've been going about an hour. I think I covered I covered everything. If there's anyone in chat, Kindle, if anyone else on chat wants to bring some up, Darko, if you got anything else, I'm going to turn it over to you guys if you got any other thoughts.
Thank you for joining me on this read. I really appreciated it. Thank you.
No, thank you for inviting me. I enjoy reading it and discussing it in Discord, and I love Kindle's insights. Like Kindle, you and I have to do a buddy read too. Like you are on it. Spot on.
Kindle's sharp. Yeah.
Kindle.
Yeah.
Kindle on a book club with the missus.
Yeah.
Or she
Yeah.
is,
Oh my God.
actually.
Well, actually, she is actually.
Yes, please do, so I can get on here and do this and just heckle her the whole way.
Okay. Well,
No.
I have to admit, Kendall scares me a little bit.
I got to tell you, Kindle's on the producer call. She doesn't take heckling. Everyone, you know, the next book club with the missus will be in February.
Yes.
As we're going through it, like Darko said, we do discuss it on Discord. We go back and forth about these things, and then we're going to get together and we're going to talk about the book afterwards. And we know what book is coming for February.
We do.
Or should we?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay. The choice has been made.
And I've not read this one yet. So
we haven't read this
one.
one.
It's terrible.
So we're going with
I'm just going for it.
Woodworm by Leila Martinez.
Ooh, nice.
We're going to do a ghost story this time.
Yeah, we are doing a ghost story, which is
The
up
house breathes. The house holds bodies and secrets. The house is visited by ghosts, by angels that line the roof like insects, and by saints that burn the bed sheets with their halos. Built long ago by a small-time hustler to control his wife, the house won't let their daughter and her granddaughter leave. When the mysterious disappearance of a boy draws unwanted attention, these two shut-ins, are they witches or are they simply enraged? Combine forces with the spirits that haunt them in pursuit of something that resembles justice. This is a lush translation by Sophie Hughes and Anne McDermott. Leila Martinez. Eerie debut novel is a class-conscious horror that drags generations of monsters into the sun. Come on now. Let's do it. Let's see what's going on, huh?
That sounds awesome.
And it's a slim volume, so you can fit it in John's TBR because...
Well, you can fit this in anyone's TBR.
Yeah.
So this is Book Club with the Missus for February. Grab it, join us on Discord, read it with us. Join us back here when we get together on February, and we'll be announcing that date long before, so everyone can plan, hopefully, and join us.
And John, I have to say, you know, Amy, she does a great job at discussion in Discord, but we don't see you much. I mean, where are you?
Yeah.
Where am I? Okay. I still try and answer every comment that comes on the YouTube channel. So
He's
that
busy.
takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of my time. But I should sometimes I'm on Discord for the Patreon read every month. I'm on Discord for some other I'm on there for a couple reads. I check in.
Discord's just not your...
I have a problem.
It's not your thing.
Nah, You just have a lot on your plate.
I got a lot on my plate.
Yeah.
If anyone wants me on Discord, all you have to do is do @John, and I will be there.
Yeah, he does.
Like very quickly to
Mhm.
answer or be a part of anything like that. But I don't generally check it as much through the day as
Look,
Amy and Jacob
Well,
do.
Kindle wants to get one more in, guys.
Get it in, Kindle. Come
Come
on.
on, Kendall.
Lastly, she says, lastly, I think Singer's point of view and the book in general showcase how much the system can break you
Yeah.
and how much you will sacrifice your morality to stay alive before you give in. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely on the money, Kendall.
That's very
That-
true.
that is
I
absolutely true.
And you
yeah.
are scary.
It's
And-
funny,
and
Kendall.
look,
You actually.
John's with me. John answers all the comments. Don't worry, in the Discord. Thank you, John.
No, Kendall, you just stirred my brain because you made me think of a character, Rico Muerte. I think he was in the book,
Yeah.
and he, he joined the program because he was getting beat up in prison anyway. He's like I'm gonna die in here, so I might as well at least fight for my life at some point. So that because prison can be a very dangerous place depending on where you are and sometimes the crimes you committed. And so why not, if you have just a tiny chance of getting out by fighting to the death, hey, why not go for it if you're going to die anyway?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there was several reasons. Like sometimes they would hit him with that influencer, and it would get them to a point where they wanted death, so they would sign the papers, or it'd scramble their brain so hard they'd sign the paper. In Simon J. Kraft's situation, it's like he probably wasn't cognizant enough to sign that paper, and yet they let him. Or there was somebody that was incarcerated, even though he was innocent.
Yeah.
And just wanted out so badly, signed the paper. So,
I did love everybody's reasons for signing were all very different.
They did have a lot of varied reasons for that. I thought he did cover a lot of bases with that.
He did. Yeah, that influencer has to be serious because you had these people who are they've murdered and killed and been maimed, and nothing compares to the influencer. That's caused more trauma than anything they've gone through. So, serious piece of technology.
Yeah.
I love that part of the story. I want a sequel just with Patricia.
I'd like a series. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, that would be something.
Yeah,
that would be
That'd
something.
Really weird.
I would buy a ticket for the adaptation.
Yeah.
I would too. I can see this book being adapted. It's getting pretty popular. And eventually I think it will be.
Yeah, probably so. Well, Darko, thank you so much for joining us with your time. So generous. It was amazing. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you, everyone that joins us after that has read the book and wants to kind of watch our conversation and see what we thought. Thank you all, guys, so much. Hit us up in comments. We love comments. We'll try and answer them all. And we'll see you guys next month for Wormwood by Layla Martinez for Book Club with the Misses.
Hope it's good.
Yeah, I hope it's good.
I hope too.
Good night, everybody. Thanks so much.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it.